there is a sale of a house where more than one estate agent was involved. In other words, where more than one estate agent contributed to the effective cause of the transaction happening. Now, a mandate that is, an estate agent has from a seller is actually a form of a contract, as I've mentioned in another video. And the question always is, have you fulfilled that mandate? In other words, have you complied with the terms of your obligations to find a purchaser for a certain price for the house, for example? Because if you have performed the terms of the mandate, then in terms of the agreement, you would be entitled to your commission, actually whether the transaction proceeds or not. So it might then also be that more than one estate agent had a mandate and performed in terms of that mandate and assisted with the transaction happening as such. Now, if there are such competing claims, and I think that's maybe the most important point to make, I would urge the estate agents to cooperate, and the seller to cooperate, and the purchaser to cooperate, so that they sit around the table and reach an agreement as to how the commission could then be split and divided between, for example, the two estate agents that were both involved. So I've often been part of such negotiations, and then we would find, for example, 50-50 split that the estate agents might agree on, 60-40, 70-30, depending on how much each one of them maybe contributed. So sometimes you find estate agents that are difficult, that do not want to negotiate, that feel that they were the cause of the transaction and the other estate agent should not get anything. Now, obviously, there might be cases where you have a valid point, but at the end of the day, it's always better to get something than nothing. It's always better to rather settle, maybe even for a little lower amount in terms of commission as you might think you're entitled to, as opposed to, for example, going to court and having to sue the seller for commission, or having to sue the purchaser or even the other estate agent for commission. That's a costly and a lengthy exercise. So I would always urge the parties, especially before the contract of sale has been signed, to try to settle the dispute and agree on a split of the commission between, for example, the two estate agents. If the contract has already been signed, it's often a bit more difficult to have such negotiations, because that estate agent who got the contract signed will typically feel that the other estate agent, who might have been involved with the transaction and showing the house to the purchaser, a couple of months ago, is not entitled to any commission. However, I would also urge such an estate agent to maybe be reasonable, maybe to consider the facts, and maybe to be prepared to share the commission with the other estate agent, to make sure that there is no dispute, to make sure that all the clients are happy, and to make sure that there are no unnecessary court cases, and obviously also not to burn any bridges, because next time around that other estate agent might have a deal signed where you previously worked on it as well, and then you would also want him to share his commission or her commission with you. So on the long run, I think that's the appropriate approach. Be reasonable and be prepared to share commission with the other agents involved.